So I'm not saying if you're a Fight Night Picks fan, you should go to at Craig Allen FNP, at Matt Allen FNP, at Fight Night Picks. You should, but I'm not saying you need to. But if you do follow me in particular on Twitter, I threw it out there. I threw the old, what's going on here? I don't understand this. And I got some responses out of it. And you're probably out there going, Craig, just spit it out already. Okay. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke in his last fight took on Sean Soriano. And I'm going to talk a lot about Sean Soriano this weekend. People might find it weird, but it seems like the people that beat him in the UFC then had to go to Sanford MMA and train with him. Shayilan's one of those guys. But Shayilan takes on Sean Soriano. Takes him down, second round, third round. Sean Soriano, turns out, can't get back up to his feet. Soriano won the first round. Nuerdanbieke wins round 2, round 3. So Shayilan Nuerdanbieke goes from 19-7 to 20-7. And you can see it on the screen now. He's now 37-10. And you'll go, well, Craig, where did all the wins and the losses come from? And I'm going, hey, I don't really know. Okay, so what happened was Fight Finder, the team over there, obviously Jay Petrie did the work. You saw that with Ashkar Mazarov recently when wins and losses came into account and he lost some wins and he gained some losses. For Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, well, he went from 20-7 to 37-10. So he gained 17 wins and he gained 3 losses to his record, which doesn't make a hell of a difference when you watch his fighting style, because I don't care how many fights he's had. So I went on to SureDog, Matt, and this is the craziest part about it. In 2016, he had 13 fights. In 2017, he had 18 pro fights and 1 amateur fight. 2018, he had 5 fights. 2019, 3 fights. 2020, 6 fights. 2021, 2
He's been
fights.
getting them out.
This is the first fight he's had this year, coming off that Sean Soriano win. 18 fights and 1 amateur fight in 2017.
What were you doing?
Not fighting that many times. But for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, it's always weird when somebody gets 17 extra wins and 3 extra losses added to their record.
Is MMA even a sport? Like, this is the only sport that this happens in.
Nah. Just like that song with Joaquin Buckley.
Unless we're talking about Albert Pujols' age, this stuff rarely happens in other professional sports.
Robert Sargent threw it out there. We touched on this when Shayilan made his UFC debut in a fight that he wasn't able to win against Joshua Kulibau. I said, hey, this guy's as Shah space Yilan out there on the internet, or Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. That's how they were able to find the fights. But some of these obscure promotions that are happening in the middle of nowhere, it could be Canada, it could be the States, it could be China, it could be anywhere in the world. They're really hard to track down, and if you go by 2 different names, it makes it even more difficult.
That's why I often make a face anytime people say, I was going to say you, but I just do it anytime anyone says anything. When they go, hey, they have 9 world kickboxing titles. Do they, though? Like, you do have to do a deep dive, because anybody can hold a tournament and call it a World Kickboxing Championship, and if you win it, you can thereby consider yourself a World Kickboxing Champion. But anybody can set up the organization. Again, Joseph Altolini said this about Wonderboy Thompson, and it completely changed my mind about, like, everybody's background in every single mixed martial art. But you brought up a really good point. You know what that is? It shouldn't change anyone's opinion on how he fights, because his fighting style is still going to remain the same. Very wrestling heavy, loves the top position, is a pressure heavy fighter, but I do like his attentiveness, I would say, from the outside, because he won't just rush in at all times. He does strike his way on the inside. Now, against TJ Brown, I'm going to be very curious to see if he's going to be able to have a sustained level of success with his own grappling, because we know how big and physically strong a guy like TJ Brown is at this weight class, and I'm very worried to see if Nuerdanbieke can have if Shayilan can have long periods of success just on the mat against him, because Brown, like I said, is so physically strong that maybe you can have a minute here, a minute there, but I really do think that as this fight goes on, it is going to favor Brown, just because Brown can wear on him just in a way that I don't think Shayilan can wear on TJ Brown.
I have a hard time with TJ Brown fights, and there's many, many reasons why. I mean, he beat Dylan Lockhart on Dana White's Contender Series. Lockhart was coming off a win in, you guessed it, the big city of Lewiston, Maine. I was there. He beat Jesse Erickson, and then Lockhart was on Contender Series, and I was like, wow, you got to watch out for this guy. And Brown made it look very easy. So he comes into the UFC. He's beating Jordan Griffin. He's completely dominating him. He wrestles himself into a submission and then loses by that submission. Fights Danny Chavez, gets his lead leg kicked to pieces, and gets tired in that fight. Goes out there and fights Kai Kamaka. Wins a split decision, but everybody thought he lost that fight by split decision. And then he fights Charles Rosa's last time out. Rosa takes it on short notice. They move it up to 155 pounds. And in that fight, I mean, Rosa round 1, round 2, it was a really weird
I thought
fight.
TJ Brown won that fight.
TJ Brown won that fight, but it's been a weird run for TJ Brown because the things that he's very good at, offensive wrestling, his grappling, training out of Glory MMA and Fitness with Brandon Moreno and the like. He also trains at Westside MMA with his buddy out of Arkansas. You know him as Bryce Mitchell, top-ranked featherweight, who's also in this division. But I look at this one as Brown's a bigger guy at 145, but I don't think the weight cut's very easy on him. And his cardio isn't necessarily the best out there, whereas for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, he's still there in the 3rd round. He's still there to wrestle. It's just weird that he's a decent grappler when it goes down to the mat, but he takes some chances. He takes some liberties. Good with his ground and pound, but he can get swept out of some positions that he's very, like, when you're in mount and you're Shayilan Nuerdanbieke and you're built like an actual Wolverine where your top's more like a Tasmanian devil, you'd think this guy has great top pressure. Not really.
And that's why I do like TJ Brown's just grappling style in this matchup. I don't think Shayilan could get out from under TJ Brown. I'm almost certain TJ Brown could get out from under Shayilan. I really do think he can have success, even grappling off his back, because he can explode out of positions and then just continue to chain wrestle from that point and probably end up in the top spot again. I don't think TJ Brown is this incredible fighter by any means. I know you'll talk about the odds in a bit, but I do like Brown in this matchup just because stylistically, Shayilan is going to have to wrestle at some point, and if he is going to get it into TJ Brown's preferred range, I just think Brown's going to be A, the stronger wrestler, and B, maybe even the slightly more technical wrestler in the way that he can hold Shayilan down and not vice versa.
And we've seen Nuerdanbieke gain in the striking. This is his 2nd camp at a big gym like Sanford MMA, or rather the 1st camp at Sanford MMA. He's a guy out of China Top Team in Beijing. You see him training with Li Jingliang. Pretty good. You know, ranked UFC welterweight. But you look at it for Nuerdanbieke, goes over to Sanford to get ready for this fight. Obviously with Sean Soriano that he recently fought, which has to be awkward because Soriano's like one of the leaders in the gym there. So it's got to be weird, but good to see that relationship.
It's like Giga and Calvin Cater popping bottles last night. They're boys now. It's all
couple of odds. But we have a look at the odds for this one. TJ Brown open to -250 favorite, -212 right now. Nuerdanbieke open to +220, +172. Record gate. How will it play out? What happened with the football? We have a look at the fan vote, Tapology vote. Surprise test there to you. I'm going to say over under 67.5% Brown.
Under.
It's over, so 527 total votes, 75% Brown, 86% by decision for the 25% that have Nuerdanbieke, 78% by decision. Matt, I said this before we started this video. I said, you know, there's probably somebody out there and they're going like, hey, -250 TJ Brown, I'm going to lay that chalk. Is somebody really going to do that?
I'm not.
Are they a silly goose?
It's like what we said in the first fight. I think TJ Brown's going to win, but not for these odds.
No, I mean, for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, I love the cardio. I love the fact that he has fucking 47 fights.
I just don't think... I like the cardio, but this is the big key to this. The way he uses his cardio isn't necessarily the way that TJ Brown struggles with it. If Shayilan is going to weaponize his own cardio, he's just going to try to grapple even more than he otherwise would. And again, the grappling is really where I think he's going to struggle in this fight. And that's why I do agree with you. I do think he's going to have better cardio than TJ Brown. I just don't know if he'll be able to weaponize it in a way that like a striker with really good takedown defense will be able to weaponize their cardio against someone like TJ Brown.
Yeah, to me, I mean, Kai Kamaka, I thought he beat TJ Brown, like, hands down. Everybody on MMA Decisions did. There was, 9 that had a 29-28, 6 that had a 30-27. Kamaka, all that to say, what does he do when he fights? He threatens with the takedown to work his striking, to then work his grappling. He's a more polished version of a guy like Shayilan Nuerdanbieke.
Stronger one.
For me, I like TJ Brown in this matchup as well, but -212, the line right now, seems a little silly for me. So if you like the underdog out of China...
Someone out there this weekend's going to have a Jinh Frey TJ Brown parlay, and I feel terrible for them.
Yeah, they are the silly goose. So Matt, both of us in this one going with downtown TJ Brown to get the win. Red flags abound. Some big fights on this card, including Neil Magny and Shavkat Rakhmonov. The big one up at the top, Arman Tsarukyan taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Can't wait for it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say,
let's get into it.